Stugotz came in here today with a take that I have not heard a whole lot. Stugotz is always looking over the landscape to find where are the places that he can distinguish himself by having opinions that others do not have. And after that game last night, and after the general overachievement that everyone in the universe except Amin El-Hassan had about the Seattle Seahawks being quarterbacked by Geno Smith, Stugotz came in here today after that victory on the road by Seattle and said enough with Pete Carroll.
Well, I mean, enough with Pete Carroll, the energy guy. And I'll get to that in just a second because Pete Carroll had a night last night. He was chewing the gum. He was walking up and down the sidelines. He was getting Drew Lock into a good mood, getting him ready to go into the game because Geno Smith went down. Here's my problem with Pete Carroll. You're 72 years old. I hate the energy guy who is 70-something years old. He's still doing sprints on the field with his team. He's still in the weight room every single day. Do me a favor. Stop running. Stop sprinting.
Throwing the
Stop
ball around.
lifting. I can't stand that
catch before the game.
Be 75. Seriously. Have an early dinner. I mean, stop telling me about all the energy you have. I don't want to hear about it. He makes me feel terrible about myself. He does.
Wow.
And he's totally selling it. And he had an isolated game last night, national TV. The cameras were on Pete Carroll nonstop. Now, he's one of the most underrated coaches in the history of sports. He really is. He won a Super Bowl. He won a couple of national championships at USC. Should have won a second Super Bowl. But Pete Carroll, great coach. Enough with the energy. Like, shut the energy down. I am tired of him being in a good mood and him sprinting. I'm tired of it. Yeah.
I have to admit, he does set an unreasonably high standard for older people like myself.
Correct.
When I see him sprinting 40 yards down a sideline, headset flying off his head, vapor trails, it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
Act your age.
Slow down.
Yeah, I mean, sit on a chair like Deion Sanders on a sideline, Coach Prime. What are you doing running during a game? You're trying to show up your athletes? You can't outrun them.
I don't know what these takes are.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just
Other than terrible?
Why are we
Act
ripping
your age.
Pete Carroll for being an enthusiastic, in shape, healthy? It's like, don't be so healthy. Don't be so in shape.
No.
Don't be positive.
Don't be so enthusiastic about your job.
It sounds to me like Stugotz views Pete Carroll as a bit performative, right? Like this is all kind of a facade.
Of
this is fake.
Yeah.
So it makes that he and Russell Wilson really were sort of the perfect pairing, no?
Wow.
Right? I mean, that's why they liked each other and ran the Seahawks, right? A couple of guys.
You have to chew your gum like that? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, really.
I mean, come on.
It's all about him. Put the camera on me. That's what he's saying.
Right.
When Drew Lock was
Coming
in,
from you, Greg.
Well, coming from me dressed like this is a bit ironic.
it
but
was a
still.
little something when Drew Lock went in. He went up to him, had to make a big show about like, hey,
course.
this is your
Right.
moment. Give him
Yeah.
a shoulder rub.
Right. Meanwhile, he chose Geno Smith over Drew Lock. I mean, get out of
it's
here.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Come
2
on.
years in a row now.
But that worked
Carroll.
out.
Yeah, well, that's not for Drew. I mean,
Yeah, I don't like the coach who's so out front that he makes the game all about him. It's about the players. That's why I don't like Jerry Jones on the sideline. Know your role, get back in the background, stay in the shadows, let your players earn all the credit. You give them the money, they win the game.
You had
they
a
earn
Greg's
the credit.
Lobos segment.
Well,
There
that's,
is no one
it's-
more self-involved in the media than Greg Cote. This criticism coming from him is amazing.
but
Yeah.
Dan, you're getting older. I mean, you like that guy? You like the guy who's shoving it in your face?
We all are.
guess.
Shoving what in my face?
I mean, how much
Positivity?
energy he has? Yes.
Positivity. Pete Carroll's demeanor is something that I usually see celebrated. I don't think he's try hard. I think he's been this his entire life. I remember him as
A fake?
a Jets assistant coach, not a fake. A Jets assistant coach after Pete Stoyanovich missed a field
I
goal.
remember
Pete
that.
Carroll's career started by making like a choke sign on Pete Carroll, or I'm sorry, on Pete Stoyanovich when he missed a field goal.
Not so
remember that.
positive, yeah.
He's
classless.
He's been since then someone who has a lot of energy and positivity. We should all hope to have that at 70.
No.
Do you have to throw it in my face? Just
That's
dial
exactly
it
what
down
you're
a little
doing.
bit. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
You
Pete
say-
Carroll goes through life conveying the idea of a guy who plays pickleball.
Oh,
Not
for
that there's
sure.
anything wrong with that.
He for
Right.
sure plays pickleball.
Yeah, but don't throw it
Dominates.
in my face.
Right.
Save it
Right,
for the
yeah,
grandkids.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
We know. We can see.
But
Not
it's
the
not,
cameras.
It's not
Come on.
being thrown in your face. You're choosing to watch a channel that he's on.
No.
Well, I mean, the cameras are choosing to go to him. I mean,
Sounds like you just
Incessantly.
you had the Giants last night.
I did.
Oh, Billy's got a bad beat. Billy's got a bad beat here. If you want to come in angry at something at the universe, at the Cosmos, I am always surprised at how good the odds makers are putting the prop bet over-unders where it is that they put them, because I cannot tell you over the last few years how many times I have lost a prop bet by half a yard. It happened to me with rushing and receiving for Cook of the Bills on Sunday, and it happened with Jerry Jeudy as well. The Bills running back was at like 79 yards and came in at 78.5 or something like that. Jerry Jeudy came in under 52.5 at 52. But Billy, the one that happened to Billy last night, this one hurts. This one's not what you're expecting. Billy, tell them this story.
Well, as you all know from listening to God Bless Football Monday Hangover, we've been doing a thing called Billy's Bets Big Board, brought to you by, and we're still waiting for a sponsor. So if there's anyone out there who wants to sponsor the segment, and I'll give you 3 things that I don't live in a sports gambling state, but if I did, these are bets that I may or may not feel strongly enough to be inclined to place some of my hard-earned money on.
You may or may not.
I may or may not, depending on, well, again, I don't live in a sports gambling state,
Right.
but these are things that I may feel good about. Now, yesterday, I gave you the Seahawks -2. I gave you Graham Gano over 1.5 field goals, which, by the way, he should have easily gotten because it's damn Brian Dable. I don't know what the hell he thinks he's doing out there. He thinks he's Brandon Staley, which he may very well be, because Brandon Staley's another one that's a dope out there. I don't know what he's doing.
You like Dayball.
I do like him, but I needed Graham Gano to kick 2 field goals, and every time it was 4th down, he decided that with Daniel Jones and his team, he was going to get it. It was ridiculous. He had ample opportunities for Graham Gano to get his 2 field goals. We don't need to get into that because that's not the beat we're talking about, even though that one was ridiculous, because he should have had 3 or 4 field goals in that game. The one that we're talking about that Dan's referring to, Kenneth Walker III, had over under 80.5 yards combined rushing and receiving. Seemed like a lock. Rushing and receiving combined, 80.5. He just needs to get 81 yards, receiving and rushing combined. He had 0 receiving yards yesterday, which was not very good. And then he had 83 rushing yards, which was great. Late in the 4th quarter, put together this little drive. He was at like 40 yards headed into the 3rd or 4th quarter. Wasn't looking good. Got the 43 yards he needed to surpass the 80.5 yards. 83 yards. Billy was celebrating. He said, you know what? 2-1, not bad, considering, Brian Dable's out here messing things up with Graham Gano. Until the next drive, where Kenneth Walker III had a -4-yard run and finished the game with 79 yards.
Shouldn't even be in the game. Shouldn't even be in the game, right? Because
going backwards.
Wow, that's bad.
You're counting your money.
I've never heard anything like
You're
that.
counting your money.
I don't know how these gambling sites work, and we work
Right.
on a network that says that. I feel like someone needs to say, like, hey, we had that one.
Well,
okay?
it makes it even a worse beat because he also had, I think, a 73-yard
That
run
was called back.
negated.
Well,
That was called back.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a whole nother.
Makes
was
you
down,
wonder.
though.
Yeah.
It
That
does
is
make
close.
you wonder.
He was
does
down.
not. It does not make me wonder
Yeah.
anything. What it
Things
does,
that make
though,
you go,
what it does. Thank you. That reference would have been great about 25 years ago when our
So I would have been
25.
Arsenio Hall went 35.
Yeah.
35
Things
years
that
ago
make you
when
go,
our yeah, you mentioned that already.
Okay.
You had it at the year 2000. I mean,
Time flies.
45 years ago, whenever Arsenio Hall was popular with the segment, it's more recent a reference than he usually makes.
Thank you.
Who?
You don't know who Arsenio Hall is?
No. Well,
I know who Arsenio Hall is.
okay. Thank
Barely.
Just because I think the bad beat is uproarious even when it happens to you. Now, it certainly depends on the amount of money involved. But I would say, Billy, that losing that way is worth losing the money because you've got the story to tell about the unexpected way that you lost when you were already counting your money.
but Billy didn't bet his actual money.
Yeah, I didn't bet
I think what
'cause
he's worried about is
not in
other
a
people
sports
took his
gambling
advice.
state. Yeah, well, I'm not in a sports gambling state.
If
so.
you were, you may or may not have put your money on it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It was one of the, there was 3 that I was maybe feeling inclined to do so, and those were 3 of them.
I
yeah.
do like tepid betting advice. That's a funny segment.
Well, if you were somebody so desperate with money that you needed information and you decided to go get it from Billy when he limps
Duke.
in tepidly.
Well,
no,
hold
he's
on.
an authority.
He was
But
3-0 the week
Billy,
before.
you're
I
afraid.
roll with an iron fist.
You give gambling advice afraid. You're afraid that people are going to take it and lose their money, and you're going to do what you did last night, which is not only lose their money, but break their heart with the loss of a bet that the money was already being counted.
You know what I'm figuring out about gambling and the problem with it? The humans involved in it. They're the ones that mess absolutely everything up.
Yes.
The humans involved in the sports gambling.
And what a great example from the weekend when the Kansas City Chiefs cover 9.5 points. If damn Patrick Mahomes doesn't intentionally not score in the final minute, they win by 10. They cover the bet. All is well. Instead, he's got to be the big hero, go inbounds to force another timeout. The game's over. Yeah, he wins the game, but he doesn't cover the bet. They could have done both.
I'd take it a step further. You know how we often celebrate athletes for donating money, getting kids scholarships, going to school, and all that stuff? Patrick Mahomes probably cost a lot of kids being able to go to college. Like, people's college money was blown on that play.
That's right.
And he should be viewed as a villain as such.
Yes, he should. Well said, Billy.
Was talking to Gino Fuentes, one of our video producers, before the show about other.
Jeremy, go sit in the penalty.
You gotta go,
Sit in
man.
the penalty box.
You gotta go.
Stepped on the fart.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait. You gotta wait.
He dropped a dookie.
Thank you.
You don't think he should be a villain, Dan, for making sure kids don't get educations?
Yeah, he is a villain. He was. Believe me, I had a rough week. I needed that cover.
Yeah, no, it's important
Trust
that on
me.
Tuesdays we go after Pete Carroll and make it that Mahomes is a villain.
Yeah, he is. He was that on that play.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good.
Ron, I have a couple questions for you this week. Too many, if anything.
I live for them. I live for your questions, Billy.
Well, you're not going to be super proud of me or happy with me after I ask you this first one. I'm wondering if chimpanzees are lactose intolerant for a specific reason.
I am sure that there are chimpanzees that are lactose intolerant for the same reasons humans would be lactose intolerant. Understand that chimpanzees are 98.8% genetically identical to human beings. They're more closely related to us than they are to gorillas. So it would only be common sense for me to think that they would experience many of the same intolerances and allergies that we as humans can experience.
Well, the reason that I ask is because I was at Zoo Miami over the weekend and I saw a chimpanzee asking a patron to throw them an ice cream cone. Like, very specifically, was reaching out with their hand, asking for the ice cream cone, asking, and then started motioning to throw the ice cream to the person. And I hate to report to you, I saw the person toss them the ice cream cone, and then the chimpanzee started eating the ice cream, and then I was put in a really uncomfortable position, and I didn't know what to do, and I walked away. So, is that monkey going to be okay?
Well, first of all, remember, it's not a monkey, Billy. Monkeys have to have tails. If they don't have a tail, they're an ape. Apes and monkeys are very different. So chimps are not monkeys, they're apes. The chimp, I'm happy to say right now that I know of, she's okay, or he's okay, depending which one got it. But at the end of the day, when you give human food to animals like that, especially processed foods like ice cream and candy and things like that, listen, these animals are very smart. They learn very quickly that they can do behaviors, in effect, beg for food, and the people fall for it right away. So the chimp is training the people to do something to his benefit. Doesn't mean it's good for the chimp. Yeah. People say, well, why did the chimp ask for it if it's not good for the chimp? Well, why would your kid ask for, a bag of 100 Twizzlers at one time? Because it's sugar and they get addicted to it and they like it just like people do. So that's why we tell people all the time, please do not feed these animals. You think you're doing them a favor and you're really doing them a disservice and could be making them sick. I don't know. She may have had the runs for the next 2 days. I don't know.
This chimp had a thirst for ice cream, Ron. I can tell you that right now.
What is
the... Listen, I got a thirst for ice cream. Does it mean it's good for me?
Well,
no.
It makes me wonder if maybe some of the zookeepers, maybe yourself, are giving the chimp some ice cream on the down low, and then that's where they develop this sweet tooth,
I've never given a chimp ice cream. But that's not to say, and I'm not going to lie here, there's not to say that sometimes we use some of these maybe not so healthy foods to get them to maybe take a medication they need to take or to make them feel better. It's a comfort food type thing, but we certainly don't give it in any kind of, great amount because it could do them damage. It's the same thing with, your normal pets. You shouldn't be giving your household pets a lot of these processed, sugary human foods.
What is the exhibit that you've experienced this issue with the most, where the patrons are trying to give food to the animals?
it's most likely the chimpanzees, the gorillas, any of the primates. People look at, because the primates learn very quickly. They'll start doing like what Billy says. They'll put their hand out. Oh, please feed me, feed me. Oh yeah, they'll do all kinds of things. They're basically training the people to give them something that they want. So they're very intelligent that way, and that's where we have most of the issues. The other issue we have is in places like the alligator and crocodile pens, where people don't do it necessarily to feed them, but to get animals to move. They throw things in. Oh, that's not a real alligator. That's not a real crocodile. And then they throw something in there to see if they can get a reaction. Unfortunately, sometimes that causes these animals to swallow those things. We've actually had to do surgery to remove some of these items from these animal stomachs.
Ron, I have a question. My friend John, his daughter found a little baby turtle swimming in their pool. Now, he was able to get the turtle out, but he was asking me to ask you what he should do with the turtle. His daughter wants to keep the turtle. He's asking, do I re-release this turtle into the wild? Do I take it to a canal? What should you do in that situation when you find a baby turtle and you have no idea where it came from swimming in your pool?
Well, the most likely, origin for that turtle is it hatched out of a nest. I would suspect that pool is somewhere near a canal or a lake or some body of water that's not too far away. Turtles have to come out of the water to lay their eggs. They lay their eggs on shore. Once the eggs hatch out, these turtles kind of instinctively head to where the closest body of water is. This baby turtle ended up in the pool there. The best thing to do is to take that baby turtle and put it back in the closest body of water. Again, assuming that somebody didn't put some exotic turtle pet in your pool, it's most likely some type of native animal that just hatched out, went into the wrong body of water. Do not keep it as a pet because, first of all, there's a law against keeping baby turtles as pets because they are a big conduit for salmonella. So, when you handle these turtles, they can transmit salmonella to you, and anybody who's had salmonella knows it's a horrible, horrible thing to have. So you don't want to keep that as a pet. The other thing you have to understand is these animals are long-lived. Turtles can live 30, 40, 50 years, even more. So, when you get an animal like this, it's not a novelty item. You say, I want to keep it for a couple of years, then what am I going to do with it? Or it's going to die soon. No, it may die soon because you don't know how to take care of it, but you don't want that to happen either.
Ron, and my final question is, I've discussed with you my bird feeder in the past. We got a bird feeder for my daughter, and it was attracting cardinals. It was attracting blue jays. They were finally coming. We were very excited about it. But the most recent animal that is attracted is a rat, and the rat comes and it eats all of the food from the bird feeder. Now, I want to put more food for the birds to come back, but I do not want this rat to come back, but also I don't want to kill this rat. So what can I do to make sure that only the birds are eating the bird food and not this rat that I don't want to kill?
You kind of want to put like what I call a cone of shame. You get a stainless steel flange or flare, and you put it on the pole. So when he's kind of come up, he can't go around that kind of, it's like when you put a cone of shame on a dog after he's had surgery so he can't bite the wound or lick the wound that's trying to heal. They make these types of things you can put at the on the pole itself leading up to the bird feeder so that the rat cannot get there.
Well, hypothetically, let's say I put it on my front window because I wanted my daughter to see it, and it's suction cups. What do I do there? I have to kill that rat. Don't I?
You got a fat rat.
Like
you got a fat rat problem because you don't have a way to.
Ron doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, Ron is stumped.
I'd hate to say it, but I'd have to find a way to humanely extinguish the rat.
Well, what the hell are the cats in my neighborhood doing? Because they're always running around in the yard driving the dogs crazy. But then when I actually need a cat to do something worthwhile and get this rat, they're nowhere to be found. Where are the cats?
You know what? For my point, I wish the cats would just stay locked inside because instead of killing the rats, they're killing many more birds and other native wildlife that they shouldn't be killing. So I'm not a big fan of cats roaming free through the neighborhoods.
Ron, I want to read you a sentence and you tell me why this is important.
What the hell are you wearing, Cody? I didn't even know that was you. Jesus Christmas.
Well, it's Harry Styles.
Yeah. Harry. Yeah.
It's Harry Styles.
Oh,
Ron.
I get it. Yeah. This is this whole
No.
Jimmy Buckets thing.
Big,
Okay, I got it.
Big fan of Miami Zoo.
Jimmy Buckets.
Zoo
Jimmy
Miami.
Buckets.
What are you
thing.
talking
No,
about,
Go
Ron?
ahead.
He
Ask
nailed
your
it.
question.
No, he's
All
right.
right.
Ron's right.
Okay, Ron, here's the sentence. Tell me why it's important. In the first rescue under the Big Cat Public Safety Act, a Texas couple was charged with selling protected wildlife, including an attempt to sell a jaguar cub. Why is that important?
Because there's a huge black market for these exotic cats. And we've all heard the stories of lions and tigers getting out, people being mauled or maimed and even killed by these animals that people are keeping as pets. So now they've put a law into place where they can put some teeth in the law to set these folks as an example, saying this is something you cannot do. These animals do not make good pets. Everybody wants to hold a baby jaguar, a baby tiger, a baby lion. They don't realize they're going to grow up. The animal's probably going to be destined to be killed anyway. And that's a horrible, horrible thing to do. So I'm glad that there's a law in place now. They can put some teeth in the law. And these people, unfortunately, are the first examples to show that this law can be put into effect and you can be prosecuted.
Would this law have prevented the Tiger King phenomenon from ever happening?
Absolutely would have prevented the Tiger King phenomenon. Yes.
Ron,
I think the Tiger King phenomenon was a catalyst to getting this law into effect.
Ron, it's Fat Bear Week. All the bears are preparing for hibernation, getting bigger and fattening themselves up. Can you give some suggestions for people who would like to view the bears as they get fat?
Well, just understand, just keep your distance. Respect the bear. Don't turn and run if you see a bear. Bears are becoming a little bit more common now in the state of Florida. There's estimated to be over 4,000 bears in our state. And they're curious animals. They're opportunistic feeders. If you leave your garbage out, if you leave your dog food out, they're going to be drawn there. They have an incredible sense of smell. Do not think they're coming to kill you. They're just coming to get some food. Report a sighting to FWC, Florida Wildlife Commission, and, keep yourself safe. Keep your distance. Don't try to get a picture. Don't try to get a selfie. Don't be flipping stupid. Just leave the bear alone. It wants nothing to do with you. They're trying to fatten up. They don't go into hibernation here in Florida. In Florida, they'll slow down. They'll fatten up because a lot of their food becomes less available in the winter months. The berries aren't growing a lot of the food that they eat, but they kind of go into more of a torpid state where they just kind of shut down a little bit just for a couple of months, but they'll remain active. You can see bears in Florida throughout the year.
The Marlins play at the Phillies tonight. It's going to be a hostile crowd, not as hostile as it could have been last week if someone had gotten in with their emotional support alligator to a Phillies game. That was a thing that actually happened. And let's go ahead and roll the B-roll there on the name of the emotional support alligator is Wally. Wally has more than 100,000 followers on TikTok, but denied entry to a Phillies game last week. I don't know what ranks as the dumbest of the emotional support animals that you've ever experienced, but this seems like a pet-tamed alligator. How dumb is this?
It's very dumb. Yeah, granted, this thing is quote-unquote tame, and, who's to say if that thing not just in one set, and these people putting their head by their face, these people are the definition of stupid. Okay, that animal has no tape on his mouth, nothing like that. Something could frighten that animal. It could lunge.
But he's hugging him. Ron.
Wally's hugging him.
The alligator's giving a hug.
Come on.
Okay. All right. Listen, guys. That is just stupid. And this is one of these things. Another reason why things like TikTok are kind of like the downfall of society, because people are just they're looking. There we go. Exactly. Here we go. An animal with 100,000 followers. Okay, 100,000 followers because this is an animal. Like the animal's checking his freaking social media page. An alligator has a brain the size of a walnut.
Put it on the poll, please.
You've never met Wally.
Is the flipping TikTok the end of civilization as you know it? Flippin', by the way, put this on the poll as well. Has anyone under 100 years old ever used flippin' to replace a curse word? The last video I want to show you is of a bear and a back scratcher that has been placed, I think, in the wild, where a bear finds, it's not supposed to be a back scratcher, I don't think, but it's how it's being used. To rub his hind parts in a way that suggests profound delight here. It made me happy to see this video. Let's play this video for Ron, please.
We had a panda video ready to go, so.
Okay.
Panda is a bear.
That is not what I wanted, but regardless, thank you, Ron, for being on with us. Appreciate the time. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Is that a fine? I mean...
Did you see what DeAndre Ayton said, Stugotz? I don't think of him as a quote machine. In fact, I'm a little bit confused in general by DeAndre Ayton because in a Game 7 where they needed him, they lost at home by 50 in a game where he seemed indifferent and his problems with management felt like they had seeped into general unhappiness playing for Phoenix.
I got to be honest, I'm not certain I've ever heard DeAndre Ayton speak.
DeAndre Ayton looks much older than his actual age. He has looked 40 like Caldwell Jones and Granville Waiters since he was 21.
Granville Waiters.
But he was asked what he brings to Portland, and he says, I am bringing domination. I go by Domin Ayton. Lucy, what happened?
It's a stretch, man. It really is.
That's pretty good. No, that's good.
Lucy, what happened? I would have preferred that laughter on microphone. You hurt your neck. Your face is Bobby Petrino-ish, but I don't have a microphone that's on, so I can't hear your laughter. You think it's that bad from DeAndre Ayton?
Look, I didn't have my mic on because I didn't think it would be that bad. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh, my God.
I kind of like
I
it.
hope my face isn't getting red.
I kind of like that one. Domin Ayton? Come on. It's pretty good.
I had not heard it before. He is bringing domination to Portland. He is Domin Ayton.
That sounds like the name of a rap song the kid from your high school puts out on SoundCloud.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does Domin Ayton sound like the kid from high school's SoundCloud rap video? Can I please, before we go any further, because I need to get to the awkward ending I keep hearing about between Chris Cote and a member of the Miami Heat yesterday. We're going to get to it because you successfully executed earlier in the show with Skip Schumacher a not awkward ending where he said, I love you first. You said, I love you too. And it's the first time that you have exchanged I love yous with a guest in a way that wasn't awkward. But before we get to that, I am told, and I'm scared of what I'm asking for here, I am told that a song has been made either about Greg Cote or for the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote podcast.
Fine.
I am told that we have a good song, but I never know with our crew whether a good song is a good song or it's a good song because it's a bad song. So let's hear what we have here.
He cuts his hair slick back, prepares to be trolled. His weakness is that he's really old, and his hair reminds me that he's past his prime. Some shameless promotion just in time. On and he wants renown. No, back in my day that he wrote. He's pissed and said he's a clown. Why can't Dan just promote? Wants to change Mount Rushmore's name, but he can't even fix himself. He's making Dan insane. All he can say is, here's my new podcast. Read my article. And my podcast is The Greg Cote Show. And it's with Greg Cote. It's about myself, some shameless promotion for myself. He was a co-host once, Stugotz choked on peanuts. You saw him going down, but he never realized that's just choking with no water.
All right, please stop. All right, please stop. Please stop. If you want the rest of that, the Greg Cote Show.
Who would want the rest of that?
Featuring Greg Cote.
That's Grammy material.
My bus
right
driver
there.
said that.
Had a shoon roll.
That's Grammy material.
His shoes are over there
Well,
in the green room.
no, wait a minute. You say his shoes are over there, and I was mortified earlier when Stugotz came clomping in here wearing those shoes. Even Greg Cote was disgusted by what Stugotz had done. Stugotz's only commentary is, your feet are really wide.
I mean, those things have lived, man. I could hear them breathing.
Right. The Cote man.
Had a shoe roll, belly button sit.
Go sit on the therapy couch. Just get out of here on general principle, please. Get to the therapy couch. Don't want you in here anymore. But let me celebrate the apple that has fallen not too far.
We don't have to.
The
It's fine.
rotten.
I feel like we had enough Cody this segment. We can move on to
the
something
rotten
else.
tree. Can you please get me Tony from the other room? I would like to hear.
From bad to worse.
Yes, thank you. I know these are my choices in general on Tuesdays.
Bad to worse.
It will say I will die on a Tuesday. And that's what it'll say on the tombstone.
What's up, Dano?
For my options.
Tony's here.
What happened, Tony, with Chris Cote, and who was this interaction with that you delighted in the awkwardness at Heat Media Day from?
I want Chris to actually say his name because Chris can't pronounce his name. Yeah. That's the problem.
Jaime Juarequez Jr. What are you talking about?
Wow.
Look at that.
He said James like 12 times yesterday.
I was terrified of it yesterday. I was like, Tony, you got that one.
He said Jaquez, James. I was like,
you can just go Juan Wick, that if you want to go that
well done,
route.
Triple J.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but what is the interaction that we're throwing it to here?
So we talked to Jaime Juarequez Jr., a new rookie for the Miami Heat, and cool guy. We were talking to him. Chris had a setup, so me and him are on the opposite sides, and the player's in the middle. And Chris has been looking at his laptop. He's got his phone. He's asking questions. We're having a great interview. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to Jaime. I'm looking at him. I see Chris out of the corner of my eye. Go to his phone where he's got his questions. He's looking at his phone. I'm like, okay, Chris has the next one. We know we got to wrap. He's landing this baby. I'm like, all right, floor's yours, buddy. And then
all right, well,
this
we will hear this together. Chris, your level of shame.
You want my excuses now or after?
I want to know your level of shame. Like how bad
it was horrific.
This?
I was trying to multitask. I was like, I don't want to give my excuses on the front end. I want you to just watch it.
All right.
Let's play this embarrassment.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna be Aquaman.
Okay.
Aquaman. Okay, shirt or no shirt?
I don't know. It depends on which. I might the Jason Momoa Aquaman. Maybe just no shirt.
Get the guns out. Maybe get a pump in before.
Definitely got to get a pump in before. Cats and everything.
All right, dude. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That was awkward. Missed the ending. I was like,
you were gonna hit
I thought we got a wrap. We got the wrap.
When you check your phone, I was like, oh, he's got something. Hold on, I'm gonna lay out for my boy.
My guy's panicking here. Sorry about that. Yeah, you're good. There is a lot going on. Okay, I have a rep. I have a rep wrapping it up. I have Adnan on a bleeping Zoom because I'm doing 17 million things around this company.
Right.
I'm trying to run a Zoom with Adnan. So what Tony saw me reaching was trying to make sure Adnan was letting his guest in while conducting an interview, while getting the rap sign, and I just was all right, man. And I hit him with a shake. It was embarrassing. Please, can we never air that?
The part that was so good, though, was that Chris had just looked at his phone where he had been looking for notes. He looked at the computer, looked at his phone, I guess was checking the internet, trying to figure it out with sort of a bird's eye view from behind them. It was the funniest thing because I could see Tony seeing Chris, and the moment Tony checked out, where he was like, oh, it's obvious. Chris has this to wrap us up. And you can hear in the audio and see in the video, Jaquez just sort of like, all right, well, nobody's going to me, so I'm going to keep talking until they ask me the next question. And that's, all right, well, thanks for joining us.
It was so bad.
And no completion of the sentence.
There are dangers in just thinking generally at any point in your life, and I'm sure his wife could speak to this. Chris has got this.
Right, yeah.
It's just
in Chris's defense, though, Dan, goodbyes could be a very dangerous and tricky game. They could be. I mean, they're awkward at times. You never know. I mean, you put up a fist, he doesn't. Yeah, it's a tricky game.
Okay.
Having to be Harry Styles like this, at first I wasn't sure about it, but it's blowing up. You know what? My agent just texted me. They're wanting me to become like a Harry Styles impersonator.
The visual of him at the therapy couch doing it is funny. I thought he was going to do it as Harry Styles in that terrible British accent of his, but perhaps you will be hearing more of Greg Cody's therapy.
Hello. This is I've got to perfect my British accent. Because when I go on stage as Harry Styles...
All right, he's once again reacting to the show.
Yeah, okay. This is not working. And in general,
I think this is going great. I'd also say I'd like this to be a message to everybody out there who doesn't want to complete punishments as your commissioner. Look what happens when you do it. It works out swimmingly. His agent's calling him. He wants to be a Harry Styles impersonator. So there you go. Pay off your punishments, gang, please.
Thank you, lad.
I have a bad headache from this next race, so I would not agree.
Well, you're doing this for fun. This doesn't count.
That's not funny, Billy.
Lucy, I'd prefer to talk to you because Greg Cody is fundamentally useless at doing
best of bad options.
Watermelon sugar high.
He's never heard that song in his life. He has
Very
never
clearly.
heard that song. I asked him if he knew what bands that Harry Styles was in before he went solo, and his guess was NSYNC.
Watermelon sugar high. Everybody.
Everybody.
He's not doing therapy. All he's doing is the show in his head that no one would be interested in, that he always wants to do for everybody.
Talking about a watermelon sugar high, that kind of thing.
The bus driver.
Chris,
You're right, Harry.
you and I are the only ones who have the unique experience of knowing what it's like to corral someone who thinks he's more talented than he is.
You know it.
Actually, you're right, Billy. God bless football is also something that has that particular affliction. You're absolutely right.
With Harry Styles, I've just texted my agent back. I want to be the opening act for Harry Styles. I feel like we're going to bring him a whole new audience. You know, we're going to bring in the older crowd.
I'd like that microphone to be turned off forever. I don't want to go back to that. I know. I don't want to push my luck. We've gotten what we're going to get. It is the show he wants to do, not the show we want to do. And I will accept what he's given me, which is very little, but more than the average Tuesday.
All right, that'll do. Get back in the studio.
I don't want him back in here.
You take him. I don't want him.
I want a 1 minute reprieve from everything that is. Just lock the door.
It's coming back in.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Lock the door.
I do. Yes, lock the door.
And you know it.
I don't think there's been a more obvious example of his deterioration than when he lazily goes to his catchphrases one after another because he has nothing and he's just
kind of thing. And you know it, Brad.
Well, the Brad, you have to listen to the Greg Cote show featuring Greg Cote to understand that the Brad, I will say this again to new listeners, the Brad is something he's been doing for many years out of the side of his lips and face on a burp.